Going live into the Jamber'ee portal.
Do, 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 do,
Coming
do, do,
at
do.
you from the cryptid Pacific Northwest.
Heck yeah, dude. Oh man,
Oh man,
I'm
Jamie.
I'm excited for this one.
We were looking
So
forward to this episode anyhow.
yeah, well, yeah.
Whew.
There's two. Well, there's a reason behind all this. Last year, 2025, Amber and I were talking about like the different areas and foci that we wanted to do instead of focus. Foci. Hey, good morning. Yay,
Good morning.
Christine. Welcome in. And I stumbled upon this article. So
Okay.
this was reprinted from a earlier, but it came out in August of last year. They reprinted it, and it's called "Gobsmacked: Supernatural Sightings After a Flood." The mysterious wave of goblin-like creature appearances in eastern Kentucky. Now, this thing, even before reading it, this article like got me all sorts of excited because
It's right up.
it's right up our alleys. It's multiple alleys for me. It's cryptids, supernatural shit, and psychology, and kind of like disaster porn, so to speak. There is a category of like movies out there that people will call disaster porn. Watching the like icicles destroy Portland. That one was hilarious and bad. But anyway, so when I read this and started reading it, I was just like, the goblin-like appearances in eastern Kentucky. I'm just like flailing my arms. I'm trying to flail them too much because I do have a lighted candle over on the side, and I'm just like, dude. If we have the ticker down there, it'd be like, dude. Jamie says, dude, with all the U's and the oohs, and it reminded me of one of the shows that I like to watch. Again, going back to our second episode where we talk about the Estes method and ghost hunting and Greg and Dana Newkirk. Well, they got weird letters sent, and this was years, like 5 or 6 years ago, about these Hopkinsville goblins or goblin-like critters that were coming into the yards in, I think it was Kentucky even. It was either Kentucky or one of the other Appalachian states in a city called Hellier. So they got a crew together and decided to record the high weirdness that they were experiencing. And they would go out and talk to the people of Hellier or even the surrounding communities about these goblin-like creatures. Everybody knew about them. Everybody's like, yeah, they live down in the old mines. Yeah, they come out during the day, they come out during the night. Kids were sketching pictures of them, and all this other stuff. So there's 2 seasons of Hellier, and you can watch them on YouTube, at least in the stateside, Amazon Prime has it, I think, right now, and a couple of Tubi might have it. There's a couple of places you can find it, and they're like about an hour long, no more. I think season 1 had 8 episodes, and I think season 2 maybe had 6 or 8, and they are planning a season 3. They are planning another season. I just don't know when that's coming out. But reading this article, the idea of supernatural sightings after disasters, having watched Hellier, having watched all this stuff, and having this, for me, the love of the actual cryptids, themselves. I'm a Mothman girl, personally, as you saw one of the other things that, there are these little, I have a fuzzy one. But yeah, so I'm excited that we're going to kind of like play off each other and talk about this, the folklore, get into maybe some of the neuropsychiatry about it, because this article went places and deep, and it covers everything that we want to, kind of chat about on this channel. So
yeah, and for me, it's like the same type of layers and hitting the points, right? The psychology of it, the cryptids part of it, that the folklore and the myth that comes into all of it, totally up my alley. All the storytelling that goes along with it. And yes, I'm a huge Hellier fan, so all those crossovers. And then in the article, I'm talking about specific cryptids that I'm just like going, oh, this one's interesting. I want to learn more about that, which we'll get into. And so I am I'm excited for this. So do you want to kick us off, Jamie?
Sure. I'm not really sure how I'm going to kick it off, but okay. So I took some parts. My notes consisted of like grabbing, highlighting the paragraphs, and then like my responses to them. So I guess I can kind of do that. So the person that wrote this article, name forgotten because I'm a weirdo, Laura Eli Smith. I'm going to use they, them pronouns because I'm not really sure what their pronouns are. They wrote in this as they're talking to people, Bo played me a video recording they made while crouched down in a truck. At first, you can hear the DJ clearly making announcements, and then the signal morphs into high and low frequency squeals like someone quickly cranking the knobs in a translator radio or transistor radio. When Bo's friend turned on the porch light and stepped outside, the creature retreated to a tree line and the radio went back to normal. Bo said they didn't feel scared, but in awe of the experience. The feeling I got was like this energy was drawing me in, like they needed help. Several days later, I asked Bo if they thought of taking a photo or video of these goblins. Bo answered no, because they were too gobsmacked to think much of anything in the moment. I was just also gaslighting myself, like, don't be crazy. So those two paragraphs kind of encapsulates kind of the vibe we're going with this, because my first remark of this was, this reminds me of the Estes method that they did in Hellier, and that maybe these creatures are kind of sensitive to energy waves and energy patterns. And in the truck, if as the announcements and the signal morphs into this high and low, like squeal sounds, it's like, the creatures are trying to communicate. And the Estes method allowed them to tap into actual voices that, could be interpreted, and maybe the truck couldn't handle all that. And this is one illustration from one of my reference books of cryptids of the Kentucky Goblin or the Hopkinsville Goblins. And they aren't, according to this, that's how tall they are. And in all these sightings and all this literature, even in Hellier, they talk about it being no more than 3 feet tall, sometimes with like forked feet, almost kind of like a dinosaur or something, and that they have big red eyes and they glow.
Yeah. And this is, I'll show you an image from a book that I use, the United States of Cryptids. And that's the Hopkinsville. And it's like the original sighting was in 1955.
Yep. That was the first encounter in this.
And that was at the
Sutton family, the Sutton family farm. Yep. And then their neighbors also reported it. Like my little guidebook says underneath, the first encounter, which we just talked about, physical traits around 3 feet tall, green skin, long ears, long arms, large eyes, and a wide mouth. And their powers are supposed to be, they're highly intelligent and mischievous. Their evolved features adapted to living in caves. So what happened and what set all this off is that there was a flood, because the Appalachian, the way that they're mining, strip mining now, is they're blowing the tops off the mountaintops and then taking all the minerals and stuff. So when it rains, it
right. And this is specifically about the huge flood from 2022. So it's not like from the 50s or 60s. This is
recent.
Very recent history.
Yeah. And so the flooding happens because there's no, biodiversity. There's no, system to trap the water, no lines down there to let the water flow. So it all floods down and creates huge mudslides. But the water also goes into the old mining caves, where some of them are boarded up, but some of them are still open. And they appear, these entrances can appear anywhere along the Appalachians and, on the sides of the valleys and all that, because that's what they did way back then. But the idea is that these goblins live inside these caves. And when this flash flood happened, or this huge flooding happened, of course, the water went into the caves and kind of flooded the creatures out, or they had to come out to be able to, survive, to carry on.
Right. And because after any natural disaster, the entire landscape changed. Mm-hmm. So the human perception of what's around, you're suddenly seeing things that you didn't see before. You see these open passages, you see all sorts of even just wildlife that you're not used to seeing. And you're like, oh my God, what's that? And your brain has to learn. It's like when the Native Americans saw the ships coming for the first time, they didn't know what they were. Right. So you're building your own dictionary and your reference points, and your mind starts grabbing for, oh, what could this be? What could this be? Oh, I think I remember my great great granny telling a story about this. And so they become that. And it's very much, living where Jamie and I do in the Pacific Northwest. We're surrounded by volcanoes.
Yes, dangerous white men.
dangerous white. Yes. And so like when Mount St. Helens blew, after that, there were two different groups on opposite sides of the mountain, unrelated. They didn't know that the other group was there. And their little expeditions crossed over by a couple days. But each group independently reported increased Sasquatch sightings. And of course, you would think, any type of animal that is in something like this, just like a human walking out into your place, you got to figure out what's going on in my environment, what's changed, where are my people, where's my tribe, and gather what you can, looking for resources. And because everything was so decimated, there's not the natural habitat for all the critters and cryptids to hide in.
Yeah. And what's also interesting is that I guess some of the research I all independently did is I rewatched Dark Was the Night, which, I thought it was more, I watched the first time and then I forgot all about it. And so my mind was like, it's going to be vampires, but no, it is a cryptid style, disaster where in the beginning, you don't find out towards the end, but in the beginning they show a scene of logging and a dead person's hand off to the side, so something has killed a person mysteriously. But basically it's about it happens in New England somewhere, and upstate from this tiny town in the Appalachians, probably they were logging tearing down part of the forest, and this part of the forest had a creature, or a community of creatures. And so they had been forced, just like all the deer and all the other wildlife, to go run, down out of that area, because they're, as Amber said, there's no more home, there's no more trees, there's no more anything for them. This is a man-made disaster. So these creatures come into this town where, they start killing people and critters and other things. So it doesn't hold up. It's not like some of those movies, like, to me, Clue is something that's going to be a timeless movie because it just holds up. It's hilarious. It does date itself, but it also gives you a visual representation of a disaster where these critters come in and everybody's like, no, it's got to be something natural. It can't be supernatural, but the idea is, there's many of these things and they're all running
there's
out.
More than we know.
Yeah, there's more than we know. But this whole article, though, it talks about, like Amber was saying, how, the Hopkinsville goblins, or these, Kentucky goblins, are coming back into the minds of people because either they have literally seen them, or because of the shared disaster experience, the folklore, the lore, the tales are easier for the mind to grasp and make sense of, rather than the, destruction of all these homes, people's livelihoods, those farmers that lost critters, et cetera, et cetera. So it really, does talk about the oral implications, where there's a woman that talks about all this and says, don't fuck with it.
Don't record this. Well, but in the article, they're talking about, the reporters getting ready to record some of these reported sightings. And there's there's other people in the community going, no, this is an oral tradition. Oral traditions are not recorded.
Yeah.
And the reporter stuck to her guns and recorded it, going, we need this for prosperity.
Proof. Well, it's, people like proof these days.
Like, what? Yeah. And to me, it's just like that borderline, because we maintain the sanctity of the oral tradition. At the same time, we're not going to know those exist at this point in our evolution without having them somehow pre-recorded, and then we can carry them on. but those oral traditions come from personal experience or that shared experience.
It really is. I just read Anne's comment. Anne has a comment
I
saying,
love it.
Squatch is a barista
Or
over at a coffee bar
bar,
in Battleground, Washington.
I'm going.
So,
Yes.
so one of the other paragraphs I wrote down was mysterious figures were already a staple in Appalachia. We have the Flatwoods Monster, Goat Man, Wampus Cats, and most famously the Mothman, the 7-foot tall, moth-like creature with glowing red eyes, who also appeared because Point Pleasant lost its bridge in '66. And people think that, some of these sightings are a prelude to disasters. In Mothman's case, that's what everybody thought. There were all these sightings before the bridge collapsed. However, I'm wondering if it, now it could be either post or pre and post, sightings of these things could be just a natural way of our brains, picking up things that we can't hear. Our bodies, do pick up signals. We do feel vibrations. When earthquakes happen, if it's really big, we feel them. But even little ones, we might feel off or see our pets running around because they're more sensitive to that. So here's this idea that maybe these sightings happen pre or post because of the vibrations or the changes, in landscape or other things.
Yeah. And I think it's, it's very interesting. This article is very much into the Appalachian. And you have to realize, if people aren't used to the geography, the Appalachian mountain range spans several states.
Yes.
It's not just Kentucky, Georgia,
it goes up into New York,
the Carolinas and up into New York. And because of that, you have geographically, just like we're going to have certain animal species that are more prevalent in one area to another. The same holds true when you're looking into cryptozoology.
Yes.
And within that, then there is the individual group psychology or family psychology of a certain area. So it can be very specific. And that can very much be shaped, but that community identity and psychology can be shaped by the events that happen within those local areas.
Yeah. Which is some of the stuff clearly car does not like cryptids. Did you mean car or cat or something else? But another couple more paragraphs, confounded by the possibility of goblins washing out from caves and old underground mines, I went searching for more logical explanations. Because this is something, we see in like ghost hunting and everything. People, oh my God. Speaking of like synchronicities and weird stuff, I just saw a bald eagle fly over a tree.
I know you don't usually see those by your place.
No. Oh my God. It's circling around here. Wow. Okay. Sorry, everybody. I don't mean to get distracted, but yeah, I have never seen that around here. And to me, that's a beautiful omen. But yeah. Okay. So confounded by the possibility of goblins washing out from caves and underground mines, I went searching for more logical explanations. Again, while I love being magically attuned and everything, and I want, I believe in these critters. I do, like Mulder, I want to believe. We also have, a lot of the times, even ghost hunters, they're like, well, we got to find the logical explanations for sounds or things like, was it a pipe? Was it, just a water or something? So the author, Lori, I had already begun concocting half-baked theories of my own. Goblin sightings, I hypothesized, were a result of stress. They were likely a mass hallucination brought on to help the human mind deal with the psychological trauma caused by, in this case, they say a flood, but, you brought it to a disaster. Again, St. Helens, earthquakes,
the Japan tsunami.
Yep, the Japan tsunami with the yokai and everything. So there's so much, there. And so, this author goes around and starts talking to psychologists or psychiatrists and other looking for scientific explanations. Like they reference a person, Matthew R. Sparks, who is a local folklorist and author of the dark folktale collection Hate Country, which I have to save up for that book. It's but it, it talks about this. Uh, um, Matthew has been collecting stories of ghosts and the supernatural in Eastern Kentucky for years. So, like some other folks, Matthew told the author that the goblin stories were likely born out of disturbance. There are many reasons why folklore emerges out of conflict and disaster. When you get hit with a 1,000-year flood or a mine disaster, it's a way of reclaiming and controlling the narrative. So narrative therapy is something, that happens in psychology. Let's talk about the stories and then change the stories, or, be able to modify the stories that you have in your brain from past traumatic areas to control it. So there's this idea here that we can create spirits or demons or guides or, cryptids in this case, the goblins in this case, to be able to cope with the trauma or the experience, to be able to put it into a narrative format that makes sense. And then maybe that can help future generations, especially like in a 1,000-year flood. They can go back, look at their oral traditions or the written tradition and say, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, we had a flood. And that might happen again soon.
Right. I think a really good example of that is the oarfish. In Japan, they're huge. These are huge, very, very ultra deep dwelling sea creatures. And through people sharing the stories over hundreds of years, they have learned that when these particular oarfish, they start coming to the surface, that it's indicative that's what's going to happen, whether it's a tidal wave or it's a tsunami. There's something major that's going to, underwater earthquake eruptions. Something's going to be happening. So locals in those areas have learned when those oarfish start rising, they are on alert at that point. And I think because so much of how humans developed, we had to learn how to read the signs and adapt to the signs in nature and in our surroundings. And then again, with that, as countries grew and were able to share information and humankind is developing, then we get into all the myths and the storytelling and the building beyond that. And then those become anchor points, that tree got struck by lightning. Oh, that's because Thor got pissed off because blah, blah, blah was happening and, struck down this tree to smite the people that were living on that property.
Yeah. And another thing is that the goblins provide a way, Matthew also theorized, that it's a way to address taboo subjects in a safe format, especially around how we strip mine or, how we mine minerals, and how, especially up in the Appalachians, where we're not going into the mines, down into the ground anymore. We're just, chopping big things off. He says there's a huge conversation that's not being had. People are afraid to have in Eastern Kentucky about the effects of strip mining on this flooding. So it's like, the companies come in, but they have all the power and all the money, and the people, want to push back, but either these are the really small communities that have been just, pushed down over all the years. So, this is a way for them to talk about that, saying, you keep doing this, the goblins are going to come out. Of course, they're going to come out during the day. Of course, they're going to come out during the night. They're mad. The idea of water washing strange creatures out of the mine into the light of day is also, again, it's reckoning with that mining history. If you think about it, a goblin cast on the side of the road reveals a very real and deep human fear of losing a home, the generational land, and, their own place in the world. And this makes sense to the author when considering a long-held belief in the region that politicians and developers have a plan to flood parts of Eastern Kentucky, casting a recreational area of lakes and vacation homes for the rich. Which again ties into current event stuff. Granted, this was, like I said, reprinted last year, 2025, but it's very relevant still to now, where we might start seeing sightings of the supernatural. I think I read somewhere that even in Ukraine, due to the the conflict, the war out over there, they are, you know, having more supernatural sightings for their region specific critters.
Right.
So yeah, it all kind of ties in.
Right. And I think that whether you have the belief in any cryptids, right, that in general that cryptids exist,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not you have that belief, the fact that humans just marvel at our minds on how what we do to be able to survive something, or to use it as a way to figure out what we need to create to, you know,
Yeah.
to move past something, it is amazing that you can't deny it. And it's part, all these cryptids and cryptids, it's part of humans lexicon. It's part of what makes us these amazing machines that we are. And there's a love for it in a way, and it can be and either you love it because it just freaks you out so much, or you love it because it's exciting and all the possibilities that could open up. And Jamie,
yes,
you and I stumbled,
oh my god, we had so much fun, y'all,
into a place that brings so much of this together, as well as a bunch of other wacky stuff.
And it's here in my hometown even, which it must, I don't know when this opened because I didn't know about it. Had I known about it earlier, I'd be like all over it. We were like kids in a candy shop and, you know, like laughing. I almost died.
It was good. And I mean, the name of the place, Freaky But True. Peculiarium.
The Peculiarium. Oh my god, I've got it's amazing, y'all, and I've got pictures. So
oh my god, the pictures.
All right, here we go.
It's fun, but it's also really interesting.
Yeah. So
when you take the time to look in some of these dioramas they have set up, and
you add the there we go. Okay. Yeah. So that's us. This is pre, you know, everything. Go ahead and hide that. Yeah. But and then we had a wonderful lunch, and this is the best tiramisu
on the world. Oh my god.
God, it was so good. This is on the outside.
Because you gotta have a battle axe on your
shoe.
Kicks, man. Yeah, no problem.
And then this
is just some of the bizarre stuff they have on the way into the museum.
Yeah, this is outside on the street, and there's the front door.
Yeah, the fact that it's like that heavy plastic, like hazmat type.
Yes, it reminds me of
going through to go inside.
It reminds me of two things here. It reminds me of like the old carnival stuff.
Yes,
you know, like the fun house, and almost kind of like a butcher's. You know,
or like going into the frozen section in Costco.
Yes, yes. Our Costco doesn't have that. It's just open. But then, you know, we did some fun stuff outside. So me licking a brain and me taking a picture of Amber taking a selfie, and then kiss the man.
I like that.
So the first thing, it does cost. They do get discount for cash. So just to let you know, cash is king here. They had this rack of weird style
bubblegum machines, man.
Bubblegum machines. And oh my god, we had so much fun. So we got some goodies, and we also did not get some goodies. But in this front area, they had stuff like this, like the old fashioned California raisin stuff, you know, the anime style, how they would, you know, do some of this commercialing, you know, with all the tapes and eyes and stuff. There's, you know, walls of photos of weird shit everywhere. So like here's like the UFOs that started it all, 1950. They had the world's smallest theater. And this was funny. This was neat. It was really tiny.
Well, and the fact that they called it the DK Cooper, because that is such Pacific Northwest folklore. If people don't know the DK Cooper legend, is an unidentified hijacker of a plane, and who it was like in 70 or 71, I
Yeah,
think.
it's in the.
Yeah.
All I know is it's in the 70s.
And he parachuted out of this plane somewhere into the deep forest of Washington State. Some people said that he ended up making his way to Oregon with all this money. And so I love the fact that they tied in this amazing legend that we have about somebody real. They tied into all of this.
Well, and up here they talk about this photo of a guy named Bruce Campbell, not the actor Bruce Campbell, different guy who crashed into the ground and stuff. And this photo, and then up here where they literally say, no, not that Bruce Campbell, but equally as cool, but in a different way. So they have a lot of humor in all their little exhibits and stuff, but it is kind of focused around. I got another picture of that just because it was so neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they have stuff like this: the last remains of Monsignor Giuseppe. Monsignor. Sorry, Monsignor. I'm not very good at Italian. But yeah, the patron saint of keeping one's skull out of a novelty museum. And then a vampire killing kit.
Yeah.
Because of course you need a vampire killing kit. And then this one made me laugh hard. The rotary dial phone. This is how we Gen Xers,
kids, we will. These did exist at one time, and
yeah, and they actually allow you. So a lot of the pieces you could touch. So here they're like, yeah, you can try it. Can you take the pain of just moving your finger in the rotary, and they're not going to be held, responsible. And then we did some perspective fun things. So Amber's falling off a building, and another one. I'm not sure which one of these are better. But then they have like a brief, incomplete history of the mobile phone with like examples of a lot of these mobile phones. And then they had some weird culty stuff going on down here from Portland, Oregon that tied into UFOs and other stuff. And then they had this whole wall of like the Ouija and other weird, I'm not even sure what the heck that is. And then they have an original Vanilla Ice doll that, is it haunted by an evil entity? But yeah, other cool, weird.
I really want to be able to break that Ouija board out and go sit.
Dude, right? Yeah.
Go sit in the creepy corner of this place and do Ouija.
I love that they have like stop, don't do it, hate all. God loves you, so don't play the demon board, angels and all this. And then they had a partial or a full mummy in here from the tomb of Anubis. And then whatever this guy was.
It's a Wendigo-ish.
And then they have a spontaneous human combustion chair.
No. Okay, you see that caution tape, folks? Caution tape was invented for Jamie. This woman about tripped over her own feet and landed square flat into the spontaneous combustion chair. And
that right here, this is actual metal from old metal, like they used to put the springs in the chair. That was metal. So there's a table that was off to this side, and my boot caught it, and I literally went, it almost went headfirst into the spontaneous combustion chair. It was amazing. We laughed so hard when we were here. Like, look at this, just the weird, cool stuff they've got. They had, of course, a Bigfoot.
My man.
And this says, my hands move, so you could actually hold on to them and do stuff because the arms move. So there's Amber with her love, one true love. And then they had an alien autopsy board.
The autopsy board was awesome.
However,
yeah.
We noticed something about this. Going behind it, you had stuff like this. Like they have Depeche Mode, a Master Blaster here, the Impulse Control.
Yeah.
Klaatu brought
this was sweet. So sweet. The flux capacitor. I mean, it's a small space, but where they crammed things. Yeah, here we go. They got me. I told you, Anne, they got me.
Yep. And it's funny because Amber and I, it's like, you're trying to play dead, but we kept smiling in some of these pictures. They actually had a monkey paw and a bossy list of instructions handmade by one of our local artists, Colin Beatty. So a lot of his art was all over here. And I wonder if he actually started the museum as well. But yeah, Nostradamus' recipe for a secret upside down death by chocolate turtle mud tort with liquor demi glace from 1569.
Yeah.
And the Handbook of Diseases of the Rectum, obviously.
Handy to have after you eat that demi glaze.
And look, more cryptids. The mesmerized Plutonian mosquito. And then
exactly, just another day at the office.
Yep, another day at the office. And then
this was hysterical. So you have this little dude
golf cart
driving this golf cart thing. And when I was in there, the whole thing like would shake and move. But when Jamie sat in it, was just still. I was just like, because they weren't ready to take her on that big of an adventure.
I guess not. But yeah, she had a lot of fun hanging out. And then I got that's all on front of it. Like
that's our Lyft driver. That was our Lyft driver. You can see
Amber's purse here and there's our driver, but they had it filled with just a bunch of wacky stuff. Just a bunch of just weird, cool stuff. This is Al Capone's Lost Vault, and all the stuff, including letters from Western Union, and other stuff from the vault.
I know the slippers, the high heel slippers. Yeah.
That. Yep. And then that was the real safe or something. So I took photos of that. I also like the little tiki guy over here. And then more weird stuff. Like this is something you can actually buy from the store, the zombie threat magnet. No, I did not get it yet. Keyword being yet. But you could get also
I do have, it's lit over my shoulder right now. I do have my Alien 7-Day Vigil candle.
Yes. Also purchasable at the Peculiarium. So they had other weird art, like here's Sasquatch flipping somebody off. And then as you exit, you get this treated with this little sign. And yes, it is black light. That's something else from the store. I've got Amber's photos, so we'll do a little bit of that too. But here's, they got me too. They got me. We found this on the way home to my house. The How's My Crying, and I just laughed it off. But I did some bibliomancy and Discordianism versus Subgenius, and I think I still am a good member in standing of the Subgenius, Church of the Subgenius. And I have attended Discordianism rituals and rites, so it's kind of fun to have just randomly opened to the page to the cult for weirdos, and hi, I'm a weirdo. And then here's us sitting under the black light. We tried to do the we're falling off the building thing. Amber couldn't stop crying or laugh crying because it was just too funny. I'm trying to do it and the pictures just didn't work out. Here's me falling. And then here's a fun video.
We had to try the bubblegum machine.
I wanted the Palm Pilot. I really wanted this Palm Pilot. So for 25 cents, I went for it.
It was worth the risk. We didn't get anything.
I'm not sure if you can hear sound through it or not, and it's okay if you don't. But basically, it's Amber basically says one will never know, and I put in the money, and then nothing came out, and I said womp womp. So that was fun though. More kissing of the critters because you gotta. And then they had this, so that was kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's me taking my thing. The funny thing is this down here. This is my hand.
It looks like the guy hanging on to you.
Yeah, it looks like the tour guide's telling me, don't do stupid. Yeah, I wanted that Palm Pilot. And then again, here's us after the first time. Amber just, I couldn't laugh. It was, we were laughing all over. I don't know why I have a couple. I tried it the one arm's better personally. And there's some cool other stuff that I've done. So that's all that. Let's see.
Well, we did. I mean, one of the things we did, and because we had to, because witches.
Yeah.
We nailed us a couple of those in one of the gumball machines. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they had some. They had
Baba
some.
Yaga in the house.
They had stickers everywhere that you can put, 25 cents, 50 cents, a buck in. You could do all sorts of cool stuff with. You could interact. You could just throw your money away, like I did. But I don't see it throwing it away. Like parents would be like,
goes back to the.
It goes back to it goes back to the Peculiarium and helps them out. And again, there's so much you can read. There's all this interactive stuff, obviously stuff that you can trip over and maybe hurt yourself with. There was a haunted dollhouse, but I don't take pictures of haunted dollhouses or dolls. There are some dolls. They did have a good selection of creepy dolls. They had a theremin that you could just move your hand up and down and make fun noise. Amber hit the gong.
Yeah, they have a gong in there. They have like visual trippy kaleidoscope stuff. But it's great. And even yes, I mean their gift shop has a lot of just the fun kitsch. But they actually did have some good books.
That one book I should have gotten. They have the action figures. They have Archie McPhee stuff, but they also publish their own magazines and have some comics and stuff there too. So it's
right. And they it's really interesting. Like we got here we go. The Orange Quarterly, right? Orange Farce Quarterly.
Yep. I got this is last January's edition.
Yeah.
But it even has interactive stuff. Like on the back, there's a poetry thing. I don't know. I can't even tell if you can see it or other things, but there's puzzles. There's a bingo. Can we see the bingo? Yeah.
I think setting up a scavenger hunt for somebody to walk through that place with would be.
Dude, that would be awesome.
That'd be kind of cruel, but also really fun.
They've got some, they got a Zingers, they got Jamber'ee reviews, they got some weird stuff in here, and I don't know if they were able to publish the rest of them. They had a whole thing where they were going to do it quarterly and stuff, but yeah, it's neat. If you like weird stuff, kind of Ripley's Believe It or Not, but tapped in with funny modern history, like the rotary phone or the cell phone history kind of thing, in a brief history, stuff like that, and have some just weird photo op moments. This place is neat.
It was just fun. And even, taking time observing other people experience it and going through was a kick. It was such a hoot. And I mean, a lot of them were having fun, but some of them being really serious about some of the things that they were reading and then explaining it. It was parents, maybe, our age, explaining it, to their kids or their grandkids. And so bringing in that history. So then what does that come to? That's oral history. That's oral lessons and bringing it forward, because some of them were just well, she's like, oh, I never told you about the time that I saw a ghost. It's something I saw, kind of part of what I overheard somebody talking about. And so then being able to get to share those personal experiences, and whether that then becomes part of their individual family history, or if that then becomes part of that community of folklore and legend. And I love it.
Christine, when you come back to Portland, we got to take you.
Yeah, we've got 3 for 2 coupons.
Yeah. But it's a weird place in Portland, and Portland's has not been as weird as we used to be. And it also supports a lot of Portland themselves. Again, the whole, a lot of the local artist stuff that was in there or things.
Right.
And some of the stuff you can buy was Portland specific, type things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, Anne, come on.
It just kind of goes without saying, Anne.
You want to, Anne. Come on. Jesus.
You live close by.
Yeah. You have nothing to speak about. How come you didn't go to it first? No. No, you're invited.
Yeah. And so now I'm on the quest to find some more similar places.
Well, if Ripley's is still open in Newport or something,
it might be. I'm sure
beach run.
But because there are different events that I love going to. I go to the big UFO festival every year that happens local to me. But just these, because it's just fun. And part of it, it takes us, it's the power of myth, it's the power of story, and it allows you to step out of your life for a little bit and into another world, quite literally, where maybe you don't have all the brain cells at the moment to like handle a really good sci-fi book or some fantasy novel. Stepping into a place like this can just it transports you. It just fills you with joy and laughter.
Yeah, I have not laughed so hard in months, because I'm going through some real tough times, and I needed that. I felt like I was like 12 again, I think, looking at all the cool tech and all like really old school tech. I was like, I've got that. I had that. This was cool. Like, hey, Amber, did you even see the phone? Oh my God,
Yeah, that rotary phone, my only complaint was that cord was not stretched out enough.
No, I know.
For walking around the corner wall. Yeah.
And all wonky. I mean, like, God, when I actually was able to spend more than just like, okay, answering the phone, you want mom or dad? Okay, here, mom. I would, work get the coils, kind of work, to get them tight again. I don't know.
Well, I remember like dangling the receiver, so everything.
Yeah, doing that, and
like talking to things that people are like, what language are they speaking right now?
Well, I mean, like,
trust me, kids, it was a fun time in life.
Yeah, and there were two types of there was two types of rotary phones. One you could actually hang on a wall that was thin and just had the hand thing, and then the base that the receiver hung on, and then the one that we showed in the video was more like a desktop version. But then, a lot of people would pick that thing up and wander around with it, because you could get longer phone cables. Really have worked, I think, the world. Yeah, phones had cords, 2 of them, one going into the wall of your house. And if that cable wasn't long enough to where you wanted to put your phone, you had to buy another even longer cable and then figure out how you're going to manage to put it without tripping anybody, which meant either up and over or like a long carpet or, rugs. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know you're being snarky. Yeah. I know you're being snarky. There was no FaceTiming, people.
FaceTime was going to knock on someone's kitchen window. Hey, are you home? Yeah.
Or throwing rocks or dirt at somebody's window to see if they were there. Yeah. Texting was done analog with pen, paper, sometimes turning that paper into a paper plane, which was always confiscated by someone. Sometimes it was just, folded up into origami. Right, Christine? Yeah, just this. Yeah. When you get in there, you're going to have a lot of fun. But when you look at the cell phones and the phone, you're going to be like, oh my God, I feel ancient.
Oh my God. How did we survive the species from where we came from is just what I want to know.
Yeah, FaceTiming was also just picturing the person in your head that you liked and hearing them, thinking about how they smoke. Or
pagers, right?
Yeah. I had a pager. I had a Jamber'ee case for my pager. It was never used, but I wanted the Jamber'ee case, and they were this big. They were as big as these. This was a pager, yanking everyone's cord.
Yeah,
that's a pager. Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude, technology. We might have to do an episode on just tech someday, like just because I think our generation, Gen X and technology,
way back when in our childhood.
But no, I feel like Gen X is kind of like a linchpin in some ways, because
we're a bridge.
Yeah, we are the bridge. We are the bridge between the olds and the news in a way. And and I think also we're kind of a bridge for even folklore in a way, because we can remember all the stories that everybody, the Silver Era and everybody, sent back to us.
Right.
And we're also kind of like pick up some of the stuff that like Gen Alpha, and the youngs, as some of the olds call them, the youngs, can teach us, the litany and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just love how this idea from this one article and talking about oral tradition and things that can happen post-disaster led us to this museum and this experience. And I think that they're tied so perfectly together, because what do a lot of people need to do after disaster? Need a break, man. You need to step into something
Regulate.
outside yourself, and come back, and help that pendulum swing back to its center point again. So
Well, and it's all like, as our friend Rachel Pollack said, it's all story. Even the disaster stories, even the hard stories still become stories, and they get intertwined into the folklore and the history of what it means to be a human.
Right.
An actual human, not an AI.
Right. And more than how we transform or transition, is how we transcend what that experience was.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So it was
great. It's great. So we want everybody, Billy, we want people to stay curious, right?
Yes.
Explore things, stay curious.
Be weird. God damn it.
Please, for all that is holy, be weird.
We need more weird in this world.
I think our next Jamber'ee is going to be a little bit more grounded in topic, but it'll still be fun. It'll still be interesting. Let's just say it's a little niche. A niche within a niche.
Yes. Something that lots of folks will be able to
seriously, Christine, the postage, oh my god, yeah folks, but a stinker.
Yep. Yes, Anne, you are, and we love that you can come and join and lend a little bit of more weird to the chats. We love it. We do love it.
By the way,
all have joined.
Anne's creating a Lenormand deck, and go support it.
Yeah. It's called the Little Witch Lenormand, and I don't have the link handy. And put your link in the chat.
And put your darn Kickstarter link in the chat. And
it's amazing. It's cute. It's adorable. It's
wonderful artist, local to us.
Yes, good friend.
Fun. Do it. Never heard of it.
Come on, Anne. Put that link in there. I'll put it in the show notes too once I'm able to refind it. I guess I can.
I know. I'm just like, if she's not doing it, I'm doing it, because.
Fine. We'll post it in like 15 times just because. And we'll do it because we're that type of friend.
Because we care about people.
We do. And especially when there are, fun creators. And yes, I did. I have a copy. It's amazing. And I also backed this too.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay.
She almost typed Kickstarter. That's $1 million idea. Whoops. I should have edited that. Oh, well. Here's a cleaner one without the reference.
Yes, Karen. Lenormand, go for it.
Yes. Yeah, there's a better link without my reference user thingy. But it's fun. It's basically Anne as a little witch going through the Lenormand, and there is a extra card, and if I recall a certain chat room, there might be some stretch goals.
Maybe.
So back it. It's fun. And buy a bunch, give them to your friends. I think we just ran out of stuff to talk, stuff to say. I guess this is the end.
It is. I want to thank everybody for popping in today.
Yes, thank you all.
Enjoy the links. You can check out the show notes for what you may have missed in the chat. And just explore things, have fun, and keep your eyes open. And more than that, keep your imagination open when you're seeing things. Even if it's not post-disaster, just keep your imagination open.
I mean, like, who would have thought I would have seen a bald eagle during this show fly, just out my window? Yeah. Seek joy, as another friend of ours, seek joy, y'all.
Seek joy, y'all. We love you. Thanks for being here.
Talk to you next time.
Be good. Hold the pose, Jamie.